So this keyboard costs as much as a used car. But after using it, I kind of understand why music producers use it and swear by it. However, there's one thing that Roland changed with the EX model that makes this way more interesting than the previous model. And this keyboard was sent to me by Zound, so shout out to them. If you're looking for some really great high quality gear where you can at least do some type of payment plans or something to get that gear a whole lot sooner, they have that available on their website. So check it out, link in the description. Now back to the video. So what is the Fantom EX and why is it so expensive? So this is Roland's flagship workstation keyboard. This is designed for producers, filmmakers, churches, studio creators. Now this comes with the synth engine that is super powerful along with the sampler and a synthesizer. It also comes with live performance tools and as well as DAW integration, which we'll check out later. What makes the EX different from the previous model? And at first, I kind of thought this was marketing hype, but it's much more serious than that. With the EX model, you get a lot of upgrades as far as the new sound engines that come with the keyboard. You get new sound engines, you get better workflows. And if you have the older models, you can also update from Roland's website, which is like a $200 upgrade. So if you want to upgrade your current keyboard, there's a link in the description if you don't know how to do that already. However, this is where things got interesting. Let's talk about the sound quality. Does it inspire creativity? Does it sound expensive? Who knows? Let's talk about it. First off, the acoustic pianos in this thing sound great. You have a lot of range of sounds from acoustic pianos, strings, you got EPs, pads, and brass as well. With synthesizers, you have a whole lot of analog synthesizers that will take you a whole lot of time to go through. Perfect for EDM, hip hop, trap, cinematic sounds if you're making a movie. And it has that Roland characteristic sound, which just sounds great. And built in, it has that Zen Core engine, which you're able to not only just use the presets that come with this thing, but you can also make your own sounds, which I noticed it was kind of hard to do in other keyboards or other VSTs to get the same sound from this board. You're not going to be able to get that. Now the Fantom EX sound ready to go, straight out the box, pretty much radio ready. But the workflow kind of gets kind of crazy, especially after you understand this one thing. Now making beats on it, this thing is super easy, especially if your timing is decent. However, if not, this thing does come with its own sequencer, kind of like in FL Studio, to kind of give you that great MIDI sound that you need, especially on time. So you can use that and program your MIDI keys inside the keyboard. And of course you could also use the pads, but they're mainly made for like performance-based things instead of like MPC things, which you could probably do, but the way how you set that up is not as easy as like on the MPC. And if you're into live performance, this keyboard comes with a lot of scene switching, so it's super great for that. And the touchscreen is magnificent, which is like, I believe it's 7-inch, which is great. So it does have a lot of details and everything. You can see everything super crisp and clean with this interface, and it's easy to understand. It kind of feels like an MPC, but just more just on the synthesizer end. Next, I gotta talk about the sponsor of today's video, themusicgang.com. If you're looking for beats, sound kits, or templates to help you improve your music production skills at a high, fast rate, you gotta check out themusicgang.com, where it's my personal website where you can get a whole lot of stuff for your music production career that helps save you a whole lot of time so you can focus more on creating and less on mixing. So regardless if you're a new producer or you're advanced, my website, themusicgang.com, is for the music gang. You link the description, go copy one of the kits ASAP. Now back to the video. Now next, let's talk about the DAW integration. Now this is the part that nobody talks about online. Now this has a USB audio functionality, which you can pretty much use this as an audio interface almost. You got XLR, TRS cables for going in and out as far as like audio inputs and out, which is super great. So it's really easy to hook up into your setup regardless of how your setup is made. And of course with FL Studios, Ableton Live, or Logic Pro, if you know how to record, basically is just recording your sound in stereo, of course. So you gotta have an interface with 2 inputs. However, you can use this as an interface and just record all your sounds into your DAW. Almost like kind of using this as the brain of your studio instead of using it just like another MIDI controller. Next, let's talk about the build quality. So naturally, I just compared against my normal setup with my complete control keyboard, which I've dropped a few times and it still works just fine. However, with this keyboard, I do feel like it could probably handle a few drops, but I wouldn't recommend dropping a $4,000 keyboard. However, when we speak about the way how the keys feel compared to other ones, this is exactly where cheaper keyboards start falling apart. The keys on this keyboard feel amazing. Like, they feel soft, they don't feel rugged or anything, where in other cheaper keyboards kind of feel like a little bit more rugged and a little bit more stiff sometimes, which can be annoying over time, especially for longer usage. However, with the Roland keyboard, the keys feel soft to the touch, like a little bit more kind of controllable, where in a way, if you are playing on this keyboard for a long amount of time, you're going to be fine because the keys aren't as stiff. They don't feel, like loose. They don't feel like, they're going to just fall off or anything, but they don't feel super stiff, which is a great thing, especially if you're into live performance. The body has a metal chassis, so it feels really sturdy and rugged, and the knobs and everything on this keyboard feel extremely premium. And it definitely has that professional look. If you're worried about, does this keyboard look like a toy? This keyboard looks like it belongs in a spaceship or a $1 billion music production studio. Now here are the pros and the cons of this keyboard that I gotta mention at the end of the day. And let's just start with the pros. It sounds incredible, yes. It has tons of sounds on this thing and they are all completely worth it. This is super great for live performances if you're into that. The workflow is extremely powerful, of course, because, it better be for this price. And the build quality is super professional, so there's no worries there. But let's talk about the quans. At the end of the day, this thing is expensive, especially depending on how many keys you get. You could definitely be looking at a keyboard that's over $4,000. At the end of the day, you could buy a whole new car for that price. And this thing does come with the learning curve, especially if you're just strictly in the DAW. The menus, there's tons of menus, you know what I'm saying? You're definitely going to be looking at how to do this, that, and the third, especially if you're a beginner. And I'd say this is overkill for beginners, especially if you're just starting out. And it is super big and heavy. Like, taking this thing around, it's not going to be the greatest thing if you're not new to that workflow. Like, if you're a live performer, okay, you're probably used to taking around keyboards and stuff like that. I'm not a live performer, so I can't speak too much on that, but I know for sure with being a music producer, I always take my MIDI keyboard everywhere I go, especially if I'm going to a music production studio or something like that. I'm bringing my keyboard with me, why not? That is where the MPC 37 might be a better option if you're looking to travel versus having a 61 key keyboard. But if you're looking to keep a keyboard in your setup and not be bringing around, this is perfect. Now, who should be buying this keyboard? And I've also tested whether this could also place my DAW. It cannot. You're going to still need a computer at the end of the day, especially if you're a music producer. I think this keyboard is for serious producers who really want that sound that doesn't sound like it's coming from a VST. At the end of the day, hardware always sounds better, but depends on, does it matter to you or not? Yeah, if you're making a movie, of course, this is going to be where it's at. You're going to get more of that realistic sound. And if you're a keyboard player, of course, get a keyboard like this because it's, regardless of the sound quality alone, this is going to be super beneficial to you as an asset if you're in that live production or live performance workflow. Touring artists or studio owners, of course, this is the greatest keyboard that you can get for your studio. However, if you're a beginner or something like that, or somebody who's just into getting all the VSTs and collecting those and really on a budget setup, this thing is probably overkill for you. The Roland Fantom EX is not trying to compete with budget MIDI controllers. It's trying to become the center of your entire music setup, and it's almost dangerously close. And after using the Fantom EX, I can definitely tell why this thing is in a lot of people's studios. Let me know in the comments what keyboards do you currently have in your studio, and let me know what other videos you want to see on this channel. And make sure you add me on Instagram, TikTok, and X. And YouTube says you gotta check out this video right here. This video, YouTube thinks that you're gonna really enjoy it. And I think so too, because I made it. So you like this video and you watched to this end, to this part? Okay, yeah. Check this out.